Hello everyone, welcome back to The Budget Sportsman. Thank you so much for joining me on today's video. Today we're going to talk about this little run and gun turkey hunting ground blind from TideWe. I'm calling it the run and gun blind. They call it the Strutcover see-through turkey hunting blind. The first thing I want to address about this blind is the portability. You can probably see the size, not very big. You could strap this to a backpack. You could probably put this in the game bag of your turkey hunting bag. I can sort of pinch it down and get my hands around it. It's not very big. And on my scales, it weighs in at 4.2 pounds with the included carry case here. Of course, you could take the case off and lose a tiny bit of weight, but most of that weight is in the blind itself. I do want to address quickly before we open it up and dive into it, the cost. The cost is, the time of recording, $80 on TideWe's website. And if you've watched my videos before, you know I've done a bunch of TideWe reviews, and I have a coupon code for you. That code is right here. It's TBS18. That stands for the Budget Sportsman 18, and it will save you 18% off the purchase of this and most other products on TideWe's website, bringing the purchase price down to $66. All right, so let's go ahead and get this thing out of the case, and I'll show you how it sets up. And it sets up pretty much like any other hub-style ground blind. One thing I wanted to point out here is that inside the case, you're also going to get a bunch of stakes. Now, personally, I'm going to be using this blind in a run and gun situation. I want to be able to pack it up, make moves very quickly, and I'm not going to be staking it down and leaving it out. So you can leave these out and leave them at home, and you're going to save some weight if that matters to you. Another thing that I would do is I probably would not carry the bag into the woods either. It's just another thing that I've got to do to get it out and put it away when I'm ready to set up. You can see it comes with this strap that clips on with a nice little buckle, and it's sewn onto the blind, so you're never going to lose that. And so that's all I would use to take it out into the woods. You're going to unfold it, and there's going to be 3 little hubs. We're going to start at the middle one right here. I don't know that it matters a whole lot. And I'm just going to pop it out. There we go. Got to get your hands in the right position. Pop that one out. Pop that one out, and that's all there is to it. All right, so here's the view from the inside of the blind, and you can see that there's 3 windows, one on each of the 3 panels of the blind. I've got the left one open, and then you can see that on all of these windows and the whole top half of the blind, in fact, they use the see-through mesh that they use on many of the other blinds in TideWe's lineup. Now, you can probably see here on video, you can see through the see-through material. However, I'm finding that because I'm sitting out in the open, there's no roof to sort of block the light from the inside, that it's a little bit more difficult to see through the see-through segments than it is on some of TideWe's other blinds. It still works, but it's not quite as effective, in my opinion, as on the other blinds. All right, so I've got all 3 windows open now, so hopefully you can see a little bit more about this blind. You can probably see I've got this blind pulled back up against the tree, and I can lean back up against the tree, but my knees are tucked up really high. They're up this high, they're way up in, not as really comfortable as I think I would like to be. So let's move this out to where I can stretch my legs. All right, there I am. I can scoot down on the tree. I can get my gun on the tree. I'll show you that in a moment, get my gun on my knee. But now look how exposed I am between the blind and the tree. I really would have loved to see these panels a little bit longer. Now, let me show you what happens if, you know, I'm 6'1", but if I stretch out my legs all the way to where I'm just sitting with my legs flat on the ground, now, again, look how exposed I am. Now, certainly you can sort of spread this out, and you could use the stakes and spread it out and give yourself some coverage. And as long as the turkey's coming in, you know, in this radius, probably about a 90-degree field of view in front of you, you're going to be fine. But if they're coming on the side, you're going to be a little bit in trouble. Now, I'm going to pick up my shotgun here, and I just want to point out this is a fairly long-barreled shotgun. It's not some super short barrel that a lot of folks might want to use for turkey hunting. But just for instance here, I can shoot out that window. I can shoot out this window. When I come right there, I start to hit the cross piece of the blind, and I've got to reposition a little bit like this. And I can do that. I can position, I can get out most windows, but I am going to have to bring it in and back out on some of these windows, particularly on this side. Keep in mind, I've already got it out away from the tree. So if I want to bring that in like a lot of people do, you know, and prop my gun on my knee, yes, I can get out the front window. I can shoot out the front window. But as soon as I go to move toward the middle, I've got to get around the X bracing of the blind here. Again, I've got a clear field of view out the middle. I can get out each window, but I've definitely got to pull the gun in and back out. So if the turkey's coming sideways across and you're trying to follow it across looking for the field of view that you need to get a clear shot, it's going to be really difficult. If it's coming straight down the pipe, maybe you've got decoys set out, you're probably going to be okay. Now, another thing that I was curious about is if this blind would provide any benefit to a bow hunter who likes to hunt from the ground, particularly staying mobile and have some cover though. And I think that it would provide some benefit. Maybe if you found a deadfall or some brush you could tuck up into and then use this as cover on your front. Now, one thing I want to point out is I still have to have this away from the tree or pushed out away from me in order for me to have enough room to stretch out my bow arm and not be bound up by the blind. But you can see that I can sort of duck down, I can get in some cover. Now I'm sitting here on my knees, that's something to point out, but as I'm on my knees, I can get down, I can sort of have some cover, I can sort of just have only my head up, I can be looking around, and then when the opportunity presents itself, I can draw over the top. Now you can see my stabilizer is hitting the blind, so you may want to consider whether you need to push the blind out any more. I am aiming uphill a little bit here, so if you were aiming downhill, that problem would be even worse. But I think if I was to raise up on my knees, I could pretty easily shoot in quite a bit direction around the blind. Okay, there my bow's hitting. So that's something to consider. Again, maybe you could put it further out away from you, but I do think it could provide some benefit to a bow hunter who wants to stay on the ground. Now for me personally, sitting on my knees gets old really, really fast. So now I'm sitting on a stool to see how that would work. I'm definitely a lot more comfortable. I'm up a little bit higher, a little bit more visible, but it's still going to hide some of my movements down here by my mid-body and my legs. I feel like I have a little bit of cover, and it puts me up high enough that I can certainly shoot out in front of me a lot better. Now, I do think this blind could also have the place in the arsenal of a deer hunter, specifically those who use a rifle, who want to be mobile, but tend to just sit down against a tree, not climb a tree. I grew up that way. I'd walk into the woods, I'd sit down by a tree just like this one, put a little cushion on the ground, and sit there for several hours. This would be a great way to maybe block a little bit of wind and provide a little bit of cover from the eyes of your game. Again, you're gonna have the same problem as you did with the shotgun, although depending on the length of your rifle, you may be okay. You're gonna have to move this out away from a little bit, and you're mostly gonna have cover in front of you, not off to the sides. But I do think it would be a viable option for mobile hunting from the ground with a rifle. Now, there is one more thing that I wanted to point out about this turkey hunting blind, and that is if you are mobile hunting, you're run and gun hunting turkeys, and you're on the move in a very active style of turkey hunting, you don't necessarily have to pop all of the hubs in and pack this thing up and put it away in order to make a move. You can pick it up, you've got your three sides, fold one side in, fold the other side in, and grab it right up here, and you're good to go. Tuck it under your arm. Now, is it going to be a little bit cumbersome to really move quickly with? Maybe, but I don't think it's going to be that bad. It's pretty light. I think you can hold on to it, particularly if you're not making huge moves, if you're not hiking a half mile, a mile, if you're just trying to make a move of 100 yards or 200 yards, you're trying to get on a bird, I think this is absolutely feasible. You could also take one side. This would end up being the middle of your blind. Then you could just pop that in, and that makes it even a little bit more compact, tucks up under your arm even a little bit better, and it's going to be way quicker, way faster, way easier than collapsing all of the hubs, folding it up, putting the strap around, and making your move. Okay, so what are my conclusions on the Strutcover turkey hunting blind here? Well, I really like the concept. I love how easy it is to pop up and put away. I love that it's light, compact, and easy to carry into the woods. What I don't like is that I've got to move this thing so far away from me and the tree to be able to get my legs out and be able to swing my shotgun around that I lose so much cover on the sides. I think honestly the solution to this for me would be just only having half of this blind, only making it maybe about this high, and not worrying about having a top with windows. I mean, if you open it all up anyways, how much cover are you getting from these little pieces? So if I had something that was only about this high, that I could swing my shotgun around all the way around over top of it, but still cover most of my movements down low, I think that would be the solution to the problem. Or another solution would be to be able to make these panels all a little bit longer so you can stretch it out away from you and still maintain that side cover and then still be able to get your shotgun around. That's the biggest limitation to this system, in my opinion, is just having to pull the shotgun back through the window to be able to get it around or stick the blind so far away from you that you lose cover on the sides. All in all, I think it is a clever little concept. I'm hoping maybe there's going to be a version 2 of this in the future that will solve some of these problems and be a really awesome turkey hunting solution. If you are interested, I'll leave a link down in the description, and don't forget to use the coupon code TBS18 to save yourself 18% off the purchase price of this blind. Until next time, I hope you remember to get off YouTube and get outdoors into God's great creation.